Good morning, America. Y'all doing all right?
Great.
Yeah, how about the screwed up road down there? Now we're going to have 2 trains instead of 1. Where's operations? They were busy in there.
Wade knew they had biscuits out there.
Why don't we let Tom talk about the Jones Act for a minute? And Jones Act, Buffalo, Kirby, the rest of them, Plessy, you name them. You go down the list, Golding, we would all cease to exist. Everybody's barges down here be Chinese junk, pushing junk. People from foreign countries running up and down the ship channel, running into each other and spilling oil on our ship channel. And people going with it because they got some chicken shit rate or something. And we're going backwards. So anyway, that kind of put it in a synopsis. I'm going to tell you what it's really all about. But I want you to think about it. You hear anybody ever say anything about getting rid of the Jones Act, you tell them to hit the damn road.
I guess that's it. No.
Pretty much summed it up.
So the reason why I'm taking the time to explain this to you in the other 2 sections is because it is imperative, or it's very important, that each and every one of you understand what's at stake with regard to the Jones Act. I mean, I lobby, and a bunch of other executives go up to Congress 3 times a year. We go into the representatives' offices and we tell them, don't cave, don't compromise, don't do anything to adversely impact the Jones Act. Now, what's the Jones Act? It means that only U.S. flag vessels that are built in the United States, crewed by U.S. citizens, can move merchandise from point to point in the United States. So whether you go out to a point in the Outer Continental Shelf, whether you go up the river system, whether you move something from the United States to Puerto Rico, it's got to be on a U.S. flag vessel. Now, why is that at stake? Back in 1920, Senator Jones from the state of Washington said, look, I just want to move stuff from Alaska to Washington. It's got to be on U.S. bottoms. So ultimately, the United States came up with their own cabotage laws. Cabotage are those laws which protect the maritime commerce of a respective nation. Most maritime nations have these type of laws. But there are a lot of elements politically who subscribe to free trade that say that cabotage laws are detrimental to free trade. They don't allow you to have open borders because you should be able to trade stuff on Vietnamese or Chinese or different types of vessels. Well, technically, maybe that argument makes some sense from a free trade perspective, but historically it has always been acknowledged that if you're a maritime nation, that you need cabotage laws to protect your country, to protect your jobs, to protect your economy. So that is the one exception to free enterprise, the Jones Act.
Well, you can still have free trade and still move under U.S. flags instead of here. So I mean that kind of.
Well,
you can still have your free trade.
Well, you're right, but the ultimate free trade is allowing anyone to come into your country and to move goods from Baltimore to Houston or from Los Angeles to Jacksonville on any flag vessel. But the point is that true free trade doesn't work when you're a maritime nation.
Got what you're saying. Okay.
But why doesn't it work? There's 3 huge benefits that the Jones Act brings to the table. Number 1, national defense. We go to war. Where do we find the sailors to man the military sea lift command ships? After World War II, 55% of the entire tonnage of the world, 55%, belonged to the United States. That's the blue water side. Today, it's down to just shy of 3%. Just shy of 3%. So people say, well, we're not a maritime nation anymore. We have all these ships that are trading. Well, that's all well and good, but when you are a maritime nation, you need to bring forces to bear to places of threats. You got to put them on ships. It's the only way to move a lot of this stuff. You can only move so much by the air over to the overseas, if you will. The second reason is after 9/11, Homeland Security has become an imperative. It's important. We're a nation that's under threat because of what we represent, our ideas, our freedoms, and everything else. Who better to police, if you will, the waterways than U.S. citizens? That's why you've got TWIC cards if you hold a license from the U.S. Coast Guard. That's why U.S. flag vessels need to have U.S. citizens. As Mr. Pat said, the last thing you want is a Mexican-built tow that is owned by a Chinese company that is manned by crewed by Filipinos pushing anhydrous ammonia up to Pittsburgh. I don't have very much faith that those individuals are going to be concerned about the security of the United States. And finally, the biggest reason why Jones Act is critical to all of us is that we're talking about 500,000 jobs. We're talking about $500 billion worth of goods that are moved on the waterways. And while the U.S. flag fleet, that is the blue water guys that go beyond the sea buoy, it's about 178 to 192 vessels. There are 40,000 vessels, that's tows and barges, that comprise the inland U.S. fleet. 40,000 vessels with 500,000 individuals such as yourself. And the big thing that we push when we advocate on behalf of the Jones Act is that this is real. It's real in that how many places in the United States can you take an individual that has a high school education or equivalent, and they get underway, and after 6-7 years of hard work, they can make $135,000 to $150,000 a year with bonuses. When you explain that to a congressional rep, that gets his attention because those are high-paying jobs. It's a way for people to move up the socioeconomic ladder that you don't see in this country.
Yep.
I mean, can you go to McDonald's and spend 5 or 6 years to make that kind of money? Absolutely not. So if you work hard, this is central to the American dream. It really is. Now, why am I telling you all this? As I said, in 1920, it'll be, or in 2020, it'll be 100 years since the Jones Act has passed. And there are a group of individuals that are pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into a project called Jones Act 2020. And what they want to see is by 2020, at the centennial of the Jones Act, they want to see that act gone, gutted, dismantled. Essentially, they want to eliminate what all of us do in the name of free trade. Now, it's being driven by the cruise ship industry, which hates the Jones Act. Being driven by refineries that claim that the Jones Act caused problems, greater expenses to move goods to and out of the country, what have you. And it's being driven by myths that surround Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. How the reason why Puerto Rico suffered so dramatically from Hurricane Maria is because of the Jones Act, which was a complete and utter fallacy because ultimately it was U.S. flag vessels, Crawley, towed, and what have you, that delivered all the goods to San Juan, but it got stuck. The infrastructure was broken. So everything was there, but you couldn't get in there. So then people in Puerto Rico were told, well, you know, that aside, the reason why the Jones Act is so horrible is because it costs a lot more to get goods into Puerto Rico. That's not true. There's been this comprehensive study that's shown that the prices in the supermarkets in San Juan are about the same as in Jacksonville. So all of these myths are being perpetrated and they're being peddled to compromise, to undermine your livelihood, this company, the whole industry. And if you hear, as Mr. Pat said, if you hear someone that's bad-mouthing the Jones Act or peddling falsehoods about the Jones Act, we all have an obligation to stand up and say, no, I am a beneficiary of the Jones Act. I am the Jones Act. Now, does that mean that you're going to go on the Hill and lobby? No. But if you have a chance, write your congressman. Tell them how important the Jones Act is to you. I don't care whether you vote Republican or Democrat, whether you're liberal or conservative. This is about our jobs. It really is. And you need to know what's going on so that we can all speak with one voice to protect our livelihood. At the end of the day, as Mr. Pat said, we're not going to benefit from vessels that are built in another country that are owned by the Chinese, because that's what they want, that are mans who are working for a third of the amount that you are. It's not about unions. It's about maritime commerce and freedom and security. I sent to all of the ships, push boats, I should say, all the push boats, a link and a video on the Jones Act that was put out by the American Maritime Partnership. AMP and the American Waterways Operators are fighting vigorously this battle. And we're also spending millions and millions of dollars to make sure that the falsehoods being peddled are undermined, or at least we combat them. So take a look at that link if you get a chance. It's very insightful. There's a great video. But more importantly, if you have any questions or if you hear anything, just let us know, because you're on the front line, and we're going to do everything we can to protect your jobs in this company. Any questions? Yes? Good? All right. Thanks.
Tom is the chairman of the AWO, which is American Waterway Operators, and this year. And it's taken a lot of his time away from here, but he came and talked to me about it, and I said, this is a perfect time for him to be there. So he is the guy that goes to D.C. and sits in Virginia, New York, and all those places, and runs the front line for us. He's the chairman of the whole deal. He's the biggest political driving force in America in Washington, D.C. And so we got the right guy there. So we sent the biggest turd in town to make it work. Okay. All right. Operations, Coach Wade.
Hey, good morning. Hey, we're having some issues with getting the logs in by 7 o'clock. I mean, we need to try to get them in before 7 o'clock so we can go to work and get everything processed. And another thing on the paperwork. We're getting some paperwork that comes in, don't have missing certain things. If everybody on the boat, captains, everybody, would look over it before it gets sent in, it'd be great. And another thing, watch relief. We're giving out information to people, to captains, and then once we make relief, we got other captains calling saying, hey, where do we go, or what do we do? So if y'all would make good proper relief. And
The reason he needs those logs at 7 o'clock is because in New York it's 8 o'clock. And the reason he needs the BDNs done right is because yesterday Glencore was here. We put the wrong API on a piece of paper, and the tonnage and the barrels added up. If you take the API, it doesn't make any sense. In other words, put 11.2 on something should have been 9.5.
yeah,
And so, who runs San Austin? Who's on Austin? Anybody here? Okay, you usually push the 500, don't you? So that's one of their charter barges, and that's the one that I think when you push the buttons on the meter, is that right? That y'all read the API off of that meter, and the density. It gives you a general average.
Well, we got a chart for the density.
Right, and then you convert it on that tape that you've got, right. But just make sure if you come up with a number that doesn't look close to what we talked about, because you guys know those fuels, you know what 180 is and what bunker C is, and you know what's 180, 11.2, bunker C is like 9.5 or something on the APIs. So if you see something that's kind of screwy, that doesn't mean that they give us fuel that's wrong. And that's okay, because we get to general average, and we're pumping something through there because they're mixing bunker C and 380. We found out yesterday, and loaded on top of bunker C with 380, and then it all gets mixed up. And then they want to know why the damn thing's off. Well, duh. I mean, you put two things together. It depends on which tanks you came out of. But anyway, just really be careful with the papers, because he told us yesterday. And this guy's named Brendan Fitzpatrick, real nice guy. In fact, I'm going to see Kelsey next Friday in New York, because she's the one that sits there at that desk, and she gets very frustrated. She's got a lot on her plate. And she used Harley the other day for something, and then Harley screwed that up, so we got the job back, which is nothing new. But I asked her why she did, and she said, well, this is what I'm up against. Your barges don't load as fast as Harley's. What size pipeline's on Harley's barges? 8 inch. What size pipeline's on ours? 8 inch. How the hell does that make any sense? But see what kind of excuses we're talking about? Makes no sense. So every time you do something that makes it absolutely perfect for Glencore, especially, we're just going to be in a better seat for them. She doesn't want to put up with any shit. And she's got administrative people that are saying, well, this doesn't add up in the back room. And they were right, because we put the wrong thing on there. So make sure we get it right. Okay. What's up, Jimmy?
Pat, what did you say
Yep.
about heaters? I missed that?
Oh, no, I think they're gonna roll it to the next.
Oh,
We're going to talk about heaters later.
It's just starting to get that time of year. It's starting to get a little bit colder, so you'll start running those heaters.
You're
a little
right.
bit more.
We had it up there.
Even on the boat.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can start running them on the bunker too.
Okay.
All right, we have Fidelity Fuels here. We have Donna Garner and Holly Keel. So I got it right today. So don't hold it against her. It's Dylan's mom. So, we want them to kind of go through their process and where they're at. They're right over by E Squared. So in between E Squared and Snead Shipyard. So I went over there, got a great facility, great dock. I'll let them talk about it. But let's start giving them some fueling in the Houston area. Be careful with the low water. This time of year it starts getting shallow back there. But I think we've been back there a lot this week. So just hear them out, and I'd rather buy fuel from them than O'Rourke. So I'll let you go.
If you're in Texas City, you know the fuel on the Marathon barge, right?
And as Tim stated, this being wintertime, we do have to worry about low water conditions. Did you want to reiterate coming around the San Jack, not coming through
Our
the
guys
river?
already has
It's
it,
already
so,
done?
yeah.
Okay.
You want those, there you go, you want that control? Show
Oh,
us some
there you
pictures. Yeah, there you are.
Thanks.
Thank you, Maggie.
Hey, I even got the right button today. So in our situation, as you're coming in, this is E Squared over here, and Snead Shipyard is going to be over to your right as you pull in. When you come in, come along the spud barge to the fuel dock this way. Low water seems to be more prevalent over here toward the right. We haven't had any issues with any boats getting in recently. We've had a lot of traffic over the last 6 months that we've been there, so the wheel wash has really helped us out a lot, especially going in this path. We're usually at about 11.5 feet, but can be down to 9 at times. So if you see an issue, don't hesitate to call us and ask, hey guys, are we still okay to get in? Our dock personnel, all of us, even Dylan, I've gotten a couple of calls from him from some of the boats, and we have not had any issues, so it's been great. And once again, it's just an overview of where we are. We're the Big Red Storm. This is going to be East Ware, and that's named. Yay! Buffalo boat. And as you can see, go ahead.
So you're pumping bills, you should take in trash and providing receipts, right?
Everything, everything. We have a new facility, state-of-the-art diesel reels, digital readouts. If you have any questions while you're there at the dock, please feel free to ask the guys. I'm usually there every weekday from 7 in the morning till 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever at night, whatever it needs to be. But I'm always available by phone, always.
Don't give them filters. I'd rather take your filters at the yard. So, but you can give them trash. So I'm not paying for trash.
And they got water?
Yes.
Just, all right.
What about oily rags, oily things like that?
You can, but if you can give that to me, Tim, I'd rather you put that in the back of Kurt's truck, make sure it has a hole in it.
Okay.
I'll call Kurt to come pick him up. They like coming to see us anyway. Just a couple of shots of the boats coming in. We really appreciate your business. Anything that you guys need, let us know. If you call ahead, we're standby 19. Dylan also has other information that he can give you. You can always get in touch with us that way, my cell phone. If there is a lot of traffic at the dock and you come around the corner and you haven't called ahead, don't let that deter you. We have capability of fueling 2 boats at one time, but we can have 3 vessels on dock at one time, given the different products or things that you will need. We can do the potable water, take your bilges off in one location. We can, really does work out really well. We very seldom ever really get jammed up to where we have to say, hey, you know, if you're not in a hurry, you can pull over here in our fleet. It'll be about 30-40 minutes. Those are all situations that always usually happen.
Question,
Yes.
sorry.
Hey, Tim.
So you got the opportunity to do capability to load a couple barges with boats.
Yes.
Can we get in there due to draft?
Yes.
So it's
All the fueling, and I think one of these.
you had mentioned like stay next to the spud bar or whatever for that water.
What's going to happen, and I can point it out right here.
You just can't get close to
This
the
vessel
speed
here is
side.
pulled up next to the dock like we had on the map
Right.
to pull in. We can actually get 2 more here at the bow of the fuel barge, or given the tide situation in the water, we can actually pull one up here because the fuel reels are the last ones in line. So we've got 2 fuel reels, so we can do 2 fuelings at one time. The lube and bilge is going to be closer toward the front.
Shallow water's over here.
More shallow water is here at the front and on this side. Yes,
Any future
definitely.
plans on dredging or anything?
Yes, we do have our permit in, but as we all know, that takes a while.
Don't back in any of your boats, like Tim, don't
Why?
back in.
Why not?
That's why, it's not just, I won't wanna tell you.
I'll be
Not
watching.
all the time.
I'll be watching for you.
Are we not supposed to go through Old River to get there? We're supposed to go all the way around?
That's what Tim was saying he would rather you
I did
do,
it all the time.
but
Hey, Tim, did you hear that? Who that's, what they at?
We're not supposed to go through Old River to get there? We're supposed to go all the way around?
Your boat's been there once around, yeah. So the smaller boats, it looks like y'all can go that way.
Yeah, I
The
tried.
Raphael went that way yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we got a track line on the computer. We run right down.
Yeah, the big boat, the Joaquin, anything 2,000 or bigger can't go that way.
Oh, very good.
I'll make sure that we can have to.
Tom.
We mostly have the.
We also have the capability of, and of course, water is usually an issue for this. We haven't had any issues. We had one vessel pull up with 2 heater barges. We were able to fuel those 2 heater barges right there at our dock as well. And those are 30,000 barges. Just another close shot of the lubricants. We do carry the Chevron for you guys. I know y'all are on the buyback program with them. We keep that stocked for you. If you have anything special, we can get that for you. Just let me know. That's it. Yay!
Just make sure to, give them the work. We want to buy as much fuel from them as we can. If you're in the Texas City, Galveston area, buy from Marathon, buy off the 101, because I get a percentage of that goes back into Buffalo. So I'd rather you buy fuel there. But if y'all are on this end, at least get it from them guys and not overwork.
And on Fridays, we usually try to do a fried chicken Fridays. And just to let you guys know, if you're in the area, you don't have to come and buy fuel or anything else. If you're in the area, come to the dock. We have fried chicken Fridays, okay?
All right.
It's okay.
I know what that'll be. The whole damn fleet will be in the fried chicken plate. Yeah, break down Friday. Oh, I did shit. I broke down the field out. All right. Where is Tim? How you say his last name? Hyman. Where's Tim? Come on up. And Jonathan Burkett, right? Where's Jonathan? Who's the tankerman? Who's the deckhand? You're the tankerman. Where'd you come from? Accu-Trans. Where'd you come from? Where? Higman Towing. You were a deckhand? No. Tankerman also? Both of you?
Well, I'm going out as a decade.
Okay. We're working on him, right? Yep. All right. And then, how long you had your ticket?
Second issue.
Y'all ever bumpered ships before?
I've done it once.
All right. Who's on the San Kennedy?
Both of them.
I know who's running the San Kennedy. You are. Okay. So they don't know nothing. And so that's good. We just want to know Buffalo way. We're going to teach you. But let me tell you what, this is 87% of our business. Do not mess it up. And be very nice to the ships and whatever the chief engineer wants, because they're all different kind of brick people. So don't do what they do. Sometimes they get angry and you got to be real nice. Do that stuff. Anyway, anybody play football? Watch it. All right. So this whole deal is based on teamwork. And that's yours. And that's yours. Where are you from?
Pasadena.
And where are you from?
Dayton.
Dayton, Texas. All right. So Pasadena and Dayton, they're local boys that know what's going on. They're on the San Kennedy, so we got to take care of them. Now look, it's okay to ask questions, and we bring everybody up here that's doing whatever wants to be part of the deal. No questions stupid, and they're going to help you in whatever. And you got to make yourself comfortable. We want you here. We're glad you're here. And so you've had some tough times with where you came from. Where did you work for? You said Always Shore? So why did you want to get on boats?
I needed a job.
Not a bad idea. Why did you leave Accu-Trans?
I was let go.
Miss Shannon, we got our hospitalization folks, is that right? So it's just time for renewals, and I just put it in a nutshell for you that if you don't want to change anything, that's great. Like, I'm not going to change anything. But there's some issues with you got family members, maybe your wife got a job, or maybe something changed, maybe some kids grew up, I don't know. But just listen to our folks here and our representative. Shannon's going to go over everything with you. It'll take a little bit, but we have to go through this because it's important, because you know damn well when you walk in that doctor's office, you want to have that health card, and our deal is recognized, and most of your health carriers that you like to go to and your doctors accept what we have, and I think our rates have stayed the same. So we got good rates, because don't get sick. Don't get sick. Stay well. Don't get hurt. Okay. You got it?
Yep.
All right. Good.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. Since there's not a lot of changes, I'm going to kind of hit the highlights. Where you want me to leave?
All right. Listen up.
Okay. Since we don't have a whole lot of changes, I'm going to hit the highlights so we can get you out of here pretty quickly. I know there will be a couple of questions. I've already had a few, but I want to go over them with everyone. First thing, most important thing to know is right now open enrollment is on. You have until Friday, November 16th to get your enrollment changes, or if you want to add somebody, take somebody off, whatever, you have until the 16th to get that done. After the 16th, you will be locked out. So what's the last day that you can do this?
Friday the 16th.
Thank you. If you call me on the 17th, I'm already going to be going into approval process, so I'm not going to be able to make any changes. So if there's changes that need to be made, those need to be done before Friday. So the kind of things that you would want to change during open enrollment is if you want to change or drop plans, add or delete dependents, those kind of things. If you want to enroll in your FSA, how many in here are enrolled in FSA right now? Okay, you definitely will have to go online and make sure that your FSA, that you're enrolled in it and that the amount is correct, okay? So those of you who are enrolled in FSA will have to get online and make sure that your enrollment's good. Other times of the year, if you have changes that happen to you as you adopt a child, you have a child, you get married, you get divorced, your spouse loses coverage, maybe your spouse loses her job, and she loses coverage, or your children lose coverage one way or the other because of a spouse, then you can add people to the benefits because of a qualified event. Has to be done within 30 days of said qualification, meaning 30 days from the day the child is born or adopted or what have you, okay? We are doing what's called a semi-passive enrollment. So basically what that means is I'm asking all of you guys to go in this year and make sure that what you were enrolled in last year is what you want, that you're seeing the same things that you know that you're enrolled in, okay? There's a couple of caveats to that. Number one, short-term disability is showing up as 0, meaning you don't owe anything on it. The reason for that is I have to go and load your payroll information into that for it to tell you what your premium is. The premium has not changed, so it'll be the same as last year, or should be the same as last year, unless you went up in age or you went up in your salary. Okay, so let's say you were a pilot last year and you're a relief now. That's going to change your short-term disability amount a little bit, okay, or your premium just a little bit. If you were a deckhand and now you're a tankerman, it's going to change it a lot. Okay, so just so you know that. Real easy to log on. We've had a few little hiccups with this, so if you log on to your Paycom app and it seems like it's a little wonky, it's a little bit easier if you do it on the desktop, but you should be able to go onto your Paycom app and hit the annual enrollment through benefits, go through, and it should show you everything you have. If you don't click don't click yes. So there's a question that asks you, do you want to roll your information forward? If you click yes, then it'll just give you a listing of what you had last year. If you click no, then it's going to take you through each individual thing. So if, let's say you want to change your life insurance, you would have to click no and go through each individual thing. It doesn't take more than a couple of minutes regardless. Nothing has changed with the medical plan. We still have the same deductibles. We still have the $5,000 deductible. HRA is going to change for next year. You guys will be given, anyone who is enrolled in the medical plan is enrolled in the HRA. Okay, so what's going to happen here at the first of the year, once everything is loaded up, is you're going to receive an email, and then you will also receive some stuff in the mail from Discovery Benefits, and they are going to send out information on how you apply for your HRA. The HRA is the reimbursement account that we do for your deductible. So, I go over this every year. Your deductible is $5,000, right? We reimburse you $3,000 of that $5,000, which what means is you have to reach $2,000, and then anything after that we reimburse you for, okay? So how much do we reimburse you for? $3,000. Do you have to meet that $5,000 before I reimburse you?
No.
No. Got a lot of people in here that have actually used it. It works out well. We're changing the vendor because the vendor's the bigger problem, I think, than anything else. So we're going to have a better, more streamlined plan that you guys can get online. You can see everything. You can upload everything, and it hopefully won't take as long to get it back.
Which vendor are we changing?
Discovery Benefits. You'll get an email from them.
Okay, and that's replacing.
That's replacing Task.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with your medical. This is completely outside of everything else.
Shanna, on
Yes.
that FSA there, you said something, not too long ago about getting away from the card or.
No, we're keeping the card.
Oh, we are
Yeah,
keeping
we're
the
keeping the
card?
card, yeah.
Okay.
And it'll still be through WageWorks.
All right.
Yeah, that's not gonna go. Those of you who are, I'm sorry, that's good, thank you for bringing that up. Those of you who are on Flex, you will keep your same Flex card
Okay.
going forward, and they just reload that card. Now, if you lose your card or whatever, of course, we can replace it. Those of you who are enrolling in Flex, you will get a new card. Okay, so if you have a card, don't throw it away. They'll reload that card every year. Office visits and everything are the same. Is the $35 copay, $70 for specialists. So an office visit is, you know, you go in for a cold or whatever. Specialist is you're going into like a dermatologist. Okay. I always tell people, make sure you know where your nearest urgent care is. Your kid breaks an ankle on a Saturday playing soccer. It's just, it's cheaper for you to go to urgent care, number one. It's faster for you to go to urgent care, and they're going to do the same exact thing for you as the emergency room will. Now, if you're having a heart attack on a Saturday afternoon, go to the ER.
$300 is worth it.
If you get admitted, trust me, they're going to admit you if you're having a heart attack. That $300 does roll into your hospitalization. And of course, you don't pay anything after you pay your deductible if you stay in network. If you go out of network, you're going to pay 30%. So one thing that comes up a lot, almost every single year, is someone will go into the ER and they'll get whatever doctor is there, right? And then what happens is United Healthcare sends you a bill for 30%. If that happens, there's a very easy way to resolve that most of the time. And most of the time what you're going to do is you're going to submit it to United Healthcare, say, hey, this was an emergency situation. I had no control over what doctor I saw, correct? Right? So that's an easy process to do usually, and usually they will handle it for you. Make sure though, again, whatever hospitals you have in your area, just take a quick look and see, make sure that if the hospital's in network, you're usually pretty good and you're pretty covered. Okay, so preventative and diagnostic care. Preventative care is paid for, so if you go in and do an annual physical, there's no copay, no deductible, no office visit, none of that. So you go in and do that. They have guys have certain things they have to do year-wise, just like women do, and so they'll bring you in and do your physical. Okay, this is one thing I really want to highlight this year because a couple of us in the office have used it and a couple of people have used it on the boat, and it actually works really, really well. So we have this virtual visits, and basically what this is for is if you have pink eye or you think you have a bladder infection or urinary tract infection or you have something, you're pretty sure you know what it is, right? You can call this virtual visits. Your spouses can call the virtual visits. You can set up a doctor's appointment on the phone. You basically can do FaceTime or they'll talk to you. And what it does is they can just call you in a prescription. So you're not having to take your time to go down to the doctor's office, sit there, contract somebody else's flu while you're in the doctor's office just because you had pink eye or a bladder infection. So this actually works out really well. It works the same as calling the doctor. You still have to call, you set up an appointment, they call you back, or you call them back, they call you back, and then you see them on the phone. Did you use it?
Yeah, you don't have to call though. I just set it up like you just press wait on your phone on the app,
That's
and
right.
you just wait for the next doctor that's available and
It'll
FaceTime.
pop up. So it's a really easy way to do it. I'm going to hand out some,
About how long does it usually take?
I think my wait was 7 minutes. I did